Last month's assassination attempt on former President Trump, there was a significant spike in calls for violence across online platforms. The research from Moonshot, which tracks domestic violent extremism online, found there were more than 1,500 calls for civil war the day after the shooting. That is up more than 600% from a normal day. Let's bring in Anna Schechter. She's the senior coordinating producer for CBS News' Crime and Public Safety Unit. As if calling for civil war can be a normal thing on a normal day. It's sort of odd to think about, but it does happen online. Anna, what kind of threats are we talking about here?
Well, there's a small subset of the far right, and some of them would even self-identify as white supremacists. And what they want is to bring about violence, like a civil war, to kind of destroy society so that it can be built up again to be better for them. And these are mostly young white men who feel like they don't have job prospects and the like. And we've seen this group growing over the years. We've seen these calls for violence also growing, and we've seen school shootings and mass shootings grow. So what Moonshot says is there needs to be more research to establish an exact causal relationship between these calls for violence, I'm going to go out and do this. We're encouraging each other to do it. I've reviewed a trove of these, and you see a lot of that. And they call themselves accelerationists to kind of quickly bring about this kind of violence. So it's been around. It has been growing. There needs to be more research to establish the causal relationship, but still the trend is going up.
What platforms does Moonshot say all this is taking place on?
It's a variety. So I've looked at more than 24. They don't want us to name some of these more fringe ones for fear of actually promoting them, but there are new platforms designed and targeting people who identify with the incel movement. And then there's 4chan, and then there are more mainstream websites and platforms like Reddit, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Even they're monitoring the Google searches as a gateway to get to these other platforms.
And does Moonshot feel like the major social platforms are being good about monitoring these things?
Well, they're certainly devoting a ton of resources, and they've spent a lot of money to hire these security teams and people that monitor it and eliminate this kind of content. I mean, YouTube, look at this. They just told me yesterday that in just the first quarter of 2024, they took down 2.1 million videos that violated its harmful content. And so if you think about that, and you know that they haven't gotten them all, but still, that's a huge effort on their part, but it's a game of whack-a-mole. And when we think about these most violent extreme calls to violence, it's like a game of whack-a-mole. You might have 1,500 or 1,600, and maybe only one of them is really dangerous. And that's what federal authorities are up against.
We just saw the rally introducing Tim Walz as Kamala Harris's running mate. He said he's a proud gun owner. Kamala Harris talked about that as well. You've learned something about Walz's record on guns.
Well, sure. This is out there. He had an A rating from the NRA in his early career as a congressman of a rural area in Minnesota. And he was he actually was for legislation to end restrictions on people with a history of mental health, to actually limit red flag laws and the like, and make it easier to get guns. This was earlier in his career, but after the Las Vegas shooting in 2017, he changed his tune. He put out a lengthy statement on Facebook taking a stand against these mass shootings, and he really switched gears and has actually implemented more laws in recent years for universal background checks and even to ban assault rifles. And so the NRA is now against him. He gets
Shalom.
This kind of content. I mean, YouTube, look at this. They just told me yesterday that in just the first quarter of 2024,
I want to give double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone and Ruwell. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in this gospel broad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is a lesson through the Spirit. Words would be edifying. It's titled "The Threat of Civil War in the United States is Back," and the news and calls for violence has spiked. Has there been social media posts going into insurrections on governments, stage attacks, officials being attacked, regular U.S. citizens, Jakes, migrants, You name it. It's a complete division in Babylon. And the funny part about it is that, you know, when it's not even funny, we've been warning people and telling them for the longest that through the spirit and power, this place is going to fall apart. Okay, it's a scripture in Esdras that go against, it says that at that time, the sown places should appear unsown, and people should stand up to fight against one another. Friends should fight as enemies because for the one of all things. Because what happens is, usually in an ordeal as such, people, they enact their fantasies out, you know, and they enact their rage out on other people. And they say in a time of all hell breaking loose, you really see who's your friend, because what appears to be friends or what you call associates or family, oftentimes there's a division among those dynamics. So you're going to see that a lot of people who you thought vibe with one another, you're going to see division and tension between these people. You know, you will see like, oh, damn, I thought that was your homie, but yet he's putting a gun on you and shooting you in the back of the head. Because we're in a time now that all hell breaking loose. You can't trust anybody. Everybody is out for themselves. And the whole thing is get, take. Because you got to understand that America, they breed what they call narcissists. And a narcissist, the definition of a narcissistic person is a person that's extremely arrogant and they're about self, they're self-willed. And you can't tell them right. You can't tell them anything. Prime example, these fucking women. And you know what's so weird? The dude broke it down. I was watching the show and he broke it down. He said, look, you got women that's at best on an average on a scale of 1 to 10, she may be a 3. But you get 5 or 6 DMs and 50 likes, her self-esteem is gonna go through the roof to the point that she's gonna look down on you like, hey, who the like you're nothing. Okay, and that's the case with 95% of these women because of social media. But when all hell break loose, that shit is going right out the window because nobody's gonna be vouching for these people, man. Okay, and when you look at here, it says she mentioned that they was calling for like gun bans, and then you had one guy that was instituting to fight to keep weapons, because basically, you know, they said that Americans, you have more weapons than citizens. So this Kamala demon, she wants to ban assault weapons. And this is something that they've been vouching for the last decade, and longer than that. They've been trying to ban assault weapons because they claim that they're dangerous. When in fact, it's not the weapons, it's the people that have them. Okay, but what we're witnessing is a civil division. Okay, things are getting ready to falter. All hell is getting ready to break loose. The economy is getting ready to collapse. And it was all foretold through the scriptures. All right. So I got a couple of precepts. This wasn't going to be a long lesson. But this is the book of 2nd Esdras 15. And I'm going to start at verses 14. It says, woe unto the world and them that dwell therein. And we understand the meaning of woe means destruction. Okay. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. And it's talking about all these people because, like I said, these people, they don't serve Yahweh. They only care about what's best for them. And they only care about what they're going to eat, who they're going to take from, and who they're going to get over on. Not even knowing that the Third World War is practically started. Okay, I was watching a little bit of this redacted, and Lord's will I get around to finishing it. And basically, they stated breaking war coming to Chicago and head of the DNC, which the DNC stands for the Democratic National Convention. Okay, because allegedly a lot of these left-wingers is going to get together in Chicago this month actually, and they're going to get together and discuss political reform and basically how to oppress Jake and how to further push this society into degeneracy and using you niggas to do so. And they're talking about possibly civil war breaking out around that time because basically Kamala, she's not the favorite. All right, you got people that's conflicted among who to vote for because they don't know whether to vote for Trump or Kamala, you know, which they say vote for the lesser evil. But shit, evil is evil, you know, so people are stuck between a rock and a hard place. And if this selection don't go the way that people want, you better believe people gonna bug the hell out, man. Okay, they're gonna bug out because they understand that this current administration has failed them. You know, inflation at an all-time high. Motherfuckers paying taxes, the interest rates went up. The price of food is ridiculous. And the list goes on. You know, I was looking up this place called Smash Burger. And this was before the pandemic. This is pre-pandemic. This was back in 2016, 2017. I went there. A fucking hamburger was $10, man. And I ain't even with a fry. So just imagine how much that burger is now. I'm talking about 15, 16 bucks. You go to like a dining restaurant for an 8-piece wing, that shit $17, man. Chicken ain't never been that expensive because chicken is a very common product. Okay, chicken is very cheap, but now since they've been euthanizing these chickens and burning down these processing plants, shit is skyrocket, man. All right, but it says here, for their sword and their destruction draw nigh, and one people should stand up to fight against another with swords in their hand. That's talking about civil war. Okay, and we're gonna continue to cover this topic because this is prophecy. Okay, the Holy Bible predicts a civil war in Babylon the Great. And right now, we're seeing it on a small scale. Okay, people are literally at each other's throats. And there's no unity here. Okay, like I mentioned earlier throughout the week, during the time of World War II, there was unity among the country. So therefore, they was able to overcome a lot of obstacles when they was fighting, when they went up into war. Okay, then you had Germany, you had Japan. You had parts of the Eastern Europe, Eastern Bloc, and America was pretty much in unison at that time. So therefore, they was able to kind of overcome any adversities. But now, this society is totally divided. Man divided against woman, child against fucking parent, parent against child, father against mother, mother against daughter. It's a total division. So now you got Facebook posts and Twitter posts of these incels spreading misinformation to get a race riot started. Because I believe a lot of these incel groups are nothing more but CIA-generated groups like Antifa, okay, with Proud Boys. You got the BLM, which that's a Marxist regime, which is led by a bunch of nigga feminists, black woman feminists, okay, which they all dykes anyway, but it's spearheaded by this guy, George Soros, which I speculate highly he's an Amalekite. All right, I don't speculate, he is, okay, because he funded the movement. And you look up what a Marxist is, it tells you that their whole agenda is to destroy the nuclear family, which is man, woman, child, baby, and dog. Okay. But it says here, for the sword and their destruction draw nigh, and one people should stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hand. It says, for there should be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they should not regard their kings nor their princes, and their actions shall stand in their own power. So they're not going to give a damn about what Kamala says or what this guy Trump says. Because one thing, if Trump win, they got all types of orders in place to block his win, you know, block his victory. You know, I was listening to Alex Skolenbo, Jones, and basically he was stating that how I think it's Congress or one of their branches of government have the power to disannul the Insurrection Act, because they expect when Trump get in office, they expect forms of civil war as well on the left. But regardless, you know, these Edomites are going to turn up, whether he win or not, because if Trump gets in, that's just an open ticket on Jake. And if Kamala gets in, that's an open ticket on Jake, man. Okay? But it says here, for their swords and their destruction draw nigh, and one people should stand up to fight against another with swords in their hands. Guns, bricks, bottles, you know, all types of shit. Fist fights. Motherfuckers gonna be getting drug out of their house. Motherfuckers gonna be getting drug out of their vehicles. Bombs, all types of stuff, man. Like I was watching a video the other day, and the fucking Edomite, he pulled out a chainsaw on a nigga, man. Leatherface, right? But anyway, and it says here, for there should be sedition among men, in invading one another, and they should not regard their kings nor princes, and of course of their actions shall stand in their power. And a man should desire to go into a city and should not be able, because not only you're gonna have martial law, you're gonna have private militias, okay? You're gonna have people that's barricading themselves in their particular what do you call it, in their particular provinces. Like during the time of Katrina, you had the brown paper bag rule. You was darker than a brown paper bag, Esau was blowing your ass away before you get out the city. So it's gonna be open season out here, man. And if you ain't a man of the Lord and the Lord is not protecting you, you're gonna get jacked up, okay? Especially you women. You women are in big trouble, okay? More than ever, more now than ever. Women have become more careless, they're reckless, they're more disrespectful. Every other bitch I saw today literally walking with their head in their phones, with their nose turned up. You know, and it's getting to the point, I'm tired of seeing that shit. It's to the point, it's like the Lord got to put these motherfuckers back in their place, man. Jake is out here wilding out. Only thing a nigga want to do is play basketball, put fucking dreadlocks, get tattoos, rap, and shoot at other Jakes. No real self-ambition. It says, for because of that pride, the city should be troubled, and the houses should be destroyed. Men should be afraid. House is going to be set on fire. Okay, people going to link up in packs, and they're going to link up and they're going to go against opposition. And like I said, a lot of Jakes are going to be targeted, man, because this is the time of Jacob's trouble. As Apostle Tahar deemed the year, the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. Okay, and it says, should be destroyed, and men should be afraid, and a man should have no pity upon his neighbor, but should destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation, which that's another way of saying Jacob's trouble. Okay, in the Christian church, another way of saying Jacob's trouble is what they call the great tribulation. Okay, which is the hour of temptation, which is going to come upon all the world. Because not only is it going to be Jacob's trouble, it's going to be Edom's trouble too, because at the end of this ordeal, you Edomites are going into slavery. Okay, Isaiah 19:1. It says, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and he should come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt should be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt should melt in the midst thereof. Right. And we're seeing people right now, they're losing courage. They're discouraged. Okay. They're not knowing how they're going to pay rents. People are taking out credit cards on top of credit cards to pay that credit card. They said credit card default is at an all-time high. Okay. Vehicle defaults, house repossessions. It's a shit show. You know, the Dow we had a global market collapse to some level Monday. Japan collapsed, what, 12.5%, which I believe 10% is like a collapse or a small collapse. But basically, they had to do away with all those treasury bonds of America because they need to prop up their economy. So Japan got to raise interest rates. But it says here, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, which is you Babylonians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, everyone against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt should fell in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they should seek to the idols and to the charmers and to those that got familiar spirits and to the wizards, right? Because now they got to go to the sorcerers. They got to go to their governors. You know, people are talking to psychics, all types of shit. You got women out there talking about, oh, well, this is of the universe. The universe is communicating. Man, look, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah is communicating. Fuck the universe. The Lord is over the universe. He created it. All right, you niggas put faith in shit that's been created by something, man. You know, a nigga will worship. That's just like a nigga will worship the shoes instead of the person that wears it, you know, or the person that's putting the shoes on. They will give the shoe credit instead of the person that wear it. And that's what idols is. That's idolatry, man. And this is why the Most High is getting ready to smite this place with a curse. And the Egyptians I will give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them. I didn't say queen, king. But it says, and the Lord of hosts, it said the Lord of hosts. And I'm going to go down, and it says here, and the Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to earn every work thereof as a drunken man staggering in his vomit. Yeah. Everything from your stock market all the way down to your custodial jobs are going to all collapse and fail. Neither should there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail or branch or brush may do. And in that day, Egypt should be like women, and should be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shaketh against it. And the land of Judah should be a terror to Egypt, and everyone that maketh mention thereof should be afraid in himself, because the counsel of the Lord of hosts, which he determined against it. Okay, and you know, the migrants are over here that causing hell, and people are legitimately afraid. You got squatters' rights, and Esau, he's like, look, man, yeah, Esau just to the point ready to blow you niggas away. All right, and he's going to open up on you, man. Like I said, you had an Edomite that put out a chainsaw the other day. How crazy is that? Anyway, last precept. This is the book of 2nd Esdras 13. And I'm going to start at verses. Let's start at verses 29. It says, behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth. That's the elect. And he should come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. And one should undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, one realm against another. Okay, and that really represents a world war. But on a small scale, you got riots in the UK, Bangladesh. They got a shoot on order site. Fucking Nigeria, they in riots, France, parts of America, and the list goes on, man. All right. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Lord's will, you were edified until the next lesson. Shalom.